Hi everyone, good evening to all. I'm Gaurav Pandey, your mentor, your friend, your Gaurav Bhaiya. And today we'll solve our last question of this particular array with two-pointer series. We already solved 9 questions so far. But before we move ahead, do let me know, am I audible and visible to all? Do let me know please. Am I visible and audible to all? Waiting for the responses. Then, okay, cool. So now, yeah, anyhow, so far we have solved our math series, our array series, and now we are continuing with arrays with two pointer, right? And today we'll solve the last question of this array with two pointer series. Trust me, these questions are super important for cracking any coding interview, including MNCs and the services companies as well. So let's move ahead. Let's solve our energetic question with energy. And I hope energy is high for all. I hope the energy is high. Can we begin? Can we begin? Do let me know. So now today we'll discuss an important problem and we'll discuss both the type of solutions, brute force and the optimized one as well. And the problem statement is squares of sorted array, which already has been asked in Adobe, Amazon, Apple, Bloomberg, eBay, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Oracle, and PayPal in other services companies as well. So anyhow, this problem is super important. But before we start with the solution, I want to tell you we'll write the code in three languages: in Java, in C++, and in Python. Every day we write in the three languages, right? We solve in three languages. Also, first we'll discuss the brute force, the basic approach. Okay, then we'll understand the optimal one, means array with two pointer. Okay, then the optimal solution or optimal solution. We'll understand the both the things. So let's move ahead with the problem statement. I'll switch on to the problem statement over LeetCode, and here we have a problem, right? So the problem name is squares of a sorted array. Problem number 977 over LeetCode. The problem has mentioned given an integer array nums sorted in non-decreasing order, return an array of the squares of each number sorted in non-decreasing order. So what they are telling is that you will have one nums array which is sorted in non-decreasing order, means in ascending order, which is already sorted. What you have to do, you have to make a square of the element, and after making a square, the array should be sorted in non-decreasing order, means in ascending order itself. That's what you have to do, right? So what can be the basic approach? Like if I'm just completely new to the coding, how will I think in this particular perspective? Let's understand over PPT or something, right? So we'll take the first example, -4, -1, 0, 3, 10. Okay, so now we'll go to the slides and here I'll take that example. Okay, so we have nums and that is -4, -1, 0, 3, and another value was 10, right? So we have this value. Look at it, this is already sorted, yes or no? It is sorted. But now what they're expecting an output. They're expecting an output. What? They want the squares of the numbers. So the square of 0 will be 0. The square of 1 will be 1. The square of 3 will be 9. The square of 4 will be 16. And the square of 10 will be 100. So this is what they want. This is what they want. Right? So how you can do this? How you can do this? The simple ideology in someone's brain is that what we can do first, what we'll do, we'll iterate this whole array, we'll multiply the element with themselves, which means that I will have the same array nums, and here every element will multiply by itself, which means we can iterate using a simple loop, and where we'll update that particular index value with the square of that particular same thing, right? So which means that we can write here -4 multiplied by -4, comma, -1 multiplied by -1, comma, 0 multiplied by 0 becomes 0, 3 multiplied by 3, comma 10 multiplied by 10. But the problem with this thing is that this is not in this format. This is not sorted because you will have now 16, 1, 0, 9 and 100. So you have to sort this. You have to sort this. Right? You have to sort. So once you'll do a sorting, you'll probably use any sorting method or you'll write your own algorithm, right? It's up to you what you do. So probably you'll sort it normally by using arrays.sort in Java or using sort method in C++ or Python, right? So you can use a sort method to sort it, sort this nums, this particular thing, and you will have your output, right? This will become 0, 1, 9, 16, 100. This will become this. But the problem with this solution is for multiplying each value by iterating the whole array will have a time complexity of big of n, yes or no? And for sorting it using any method, because that method have a time complexity of n log n, yes or no? So big of log n, big of n log n. So you have a larger time complexity. So this can be a brute force that somebody can think in their brain, right? This can be brute force. But what will be the optimized solution? Any of brute force is not optimal for solving the problems over in multiple interviews, right? They will ask you for the optimal solution. So what can be the optimal solution? What can be the optimal solution? And anyhow, I'm seeing very few numbers. Yeah, if you really enjoy the series, then please stay till the end. And I'll wait in the comments as well. I'll wait in the comments as well that you're enjoying or not. You're enjoying or not. Because any of this matters a lot to me. Okay, cool. Anyhow, if I'm taking time, so it should be worthy, right? Now we understood the brute force. That first we'll multiply each element by itself. Then what we'll do, we'll sort it, and we will have our output. So that can be a brute force. But what can be the optimal solution? Right? What can be the optimal solution? This is the brute force. But what is the optimal solution? Optimal solution. Look at this. If you have this particular nums, which you know already sorted, yes or no? You know that is already sorted, minus 1 and then 3 comma, I guess 10 you had, right? You know that this is already sorted. So can I say, if I think about a 2 pointer, I assume that my start pointer is here and my end pointer is here. Anyway, if this array is sorted, this will be the smallest value, yes or no? And this will be the largest value. But there is a thing that if this value is smallest, but because of the negative symbol, what if we convert into a positive symbol? So will it be smaller or not? That we have to think about. So let's say what we'll do, we'll start comparing this start and end value, and whoever is larger, I'll show that square at the end. Okay, so this time the 10 was larger, so I'll have the square of 10 at the end. So this becomes 100. Okay, so from whatever the place I'm taking the value, I'll move that pointer only, which means my end will point out now on 3. Okay, my end will point out on 3. Okay, so now compare this. Always compare the absolute value, not the symbol. Why? Because in a square you will not have a negative symbol, you will have a positive symbol, then value will be larger. So compare with their absolute values, right? Compare with their absolute values. So now if I talk about the absolute value of 4, that becomes 4. Now tell me who is greater, 4 or 3? So you'll say 4. So then after this, after this 100, you store the value of the second largest thing. So which was the 4. So you'll store the square of the 4. Now from whatever the place you are getting the value, you'll move that pointer only, which means your start will come on minus 1 here, and you will take the absolute value. So this is 1, this is 3. Tell me which is larger. So you will say 3 is larger. If 3 is larger, you will store the sum of 3, like the square of 3, that is 9. And whatever the place you are getting the value, you move that pointer only. Now the pointer, your end pointer will come here on 0, right? On 0. So you will have on 0 your end pointer. Compare the value 1 and 0. Tell me who is the larger. So 1 is the larger, so you will get the square of 1, which is 1. Now whatever the value you are getting, you'll just move the pointer. Your pointer will come here on the start, and this is equal. This is equal. So if this is equal, what you will do, you will get the value. Any of both are same. Both are same. Take any one, right? Not an issue. that becomes 0, because square of 0 becomes 0, right? The square of 0 becomes 0, so you will have this particular array. You will have this particular array. Then what will happen? Either you move start, that time it will, go beyond the end, it will come here. So this is not a valid case. When a start is more than the end, you should stop. So you'll do this thing when the end is greater or equal to the start. This should be your condition. This will be your condition, right? So you'll take 2 pointers from starting and ending. You'll check whoever is the larger. You will take the square of that. You will put from the ending part. Why? Because you already know the array was already sorted. So now you will have the sorted square automatically. You don't have to use a sort method that can increase your time complexity. Right? That can increase your time complexity. Now this is the one of the best possible optimized solutions of this particular problem, right? So now you will have the whole solution within big of n. Previously you were having the solution, the brute force was taking the time complexity of n log n, which was larger. So this was brute force, and this is the optimal solution. I hope now everybody have an idea that how we can have a brute force and how we can have an optimized solution. So 2 pointer will be the optimized one, the normal one is the brute force. Okay, so now let's code it. Again, this is a live class. If you have doubt, then ask me. Okay, ask me. So utilize it as an offline class. Don't think that it's an online class and you will not get anything. Right? Probably you'll get a lot of things from here. So now I'll write first time. I'll write the brute force is required or not. I don't think so. The brute force I need to write. You already understand. Just multiply each element by itself, then sort it. You will have a brute force, right? So now I'll write the optimal solution. And even if you know you want the brute force, then write it here. Brute force you want. I'll write the word for that as well. So you don't have to worry about. Now we are writing in Java, then we'll write in C++, then we'll do in Python as well. Okay. So now here I'll take the ideology we have assumed that we'll take one start from 0 index. We'll take our second pointer on the end, which is length -1. So what I'll do, I'll first calculate the length. Let's assume the n is the length. So nums dot length. Okay. So now the value of n will be n -1. Yes or no? Again, to storing the value, you need a pointer. Like you know that first time we were storing the last, then the second last, then the third last. Any of that pointer was also moving, so you need another pointer, which is k, let's say, or I something, anything, whatever you want. Okay, so let's say I want I, that is the last index of the element, because there you want to store the maximum value of the square, right? The maximum value of the square. So now here you have n-1 for the I. Now the ideology was that you will have a while loop. And while loop will work when this start is less than or equals to the end, right? And again you are comparing that if we were comparing with the absolute value, right? With the absolute value. So math.f, and again if you have joined this live right now and you haven't seen the previous logic that I have explained over PPT, then please go back in the live and watch that thing as well. Otherwise you will not get anything. Okay, so that is also important. So math.f, and here what we'll write, the value from the nums of the start. So let's say if start is less than math.f, right? So nums write the last value. The first value is smaller than the last value, which means that we'll store the largest value at the end, right? So anyhow I want one something which can store the result. So I'll have one array here, result, that will store a result. So new end with the size n. I have one resultant array, there I'll store my result. And anyhow you'll get 100% only when you're watching this live from starting, because in mid you will be confused anyhow, because you haven't understood the logic behind this code, right? So now we'll write result, and here in this result what I'll write is in this result I want the I pointer, the last index, and there I want to store the square of the maximum, the largest value, right? So what I'll do is that I'll write nums, and now the large value is right because we have compared from if condition. If the value of right is greater, then we will have another right. Now we are storing the square on the ending index, right? So if right was greater, we will store the value of right anyway, right? So now if this is not a case, anyhow if the value we have stored, so we have to move that pointer, so write minus minus to get the new existing value, right? Again, this is not a case, which means that the value at the left is greater, because value was available on the left because of the negative symbol. But when we talk about the absolute value, the value can be greater as well, right? So if the left value is greater, the absolute value of left is greater, so that time what you'll do, you'll update in the result, at the index of I, you'll update the nums left multiply by again nums left. So square you are storing anyhow, square you are storing, yes or no, square you are storing, and then you will do left plus plus, left plus plus, okay. And at the end anyhow after storing one value, you need to move your I pointer, because that is first time it was pointed to the last, and it should come back on the first step, right? So you'll keep decreasing it for getting the another value, right, for storing the another value. So I minus minus, I minus minus, and then at the end you return it, your result, you return your result. And I hope that this is clear to all. If this is not clear, do let me know, I'll do a dry run for you as well. But please write that. If you understood, then that's fine. I don't have, oh, what happened here, I have to check, like there's some syntax error. Nums right, variable right is not available. Okay, I have actually used and, not the right. No worries, so I'll change this and to right, because I don't want to change on multiple places. And I guess same thing, yeah. I could have changed this as well. Cool, yeah. So now, what is the problem now? Left we don't have. Yeah, I guess we would discuss something else and written some else name. No worries. Here we'll do left. Okay. So now left right we have. For ending we are referring to the left. Okay. Probably now this is fine. Now where we will use the start? Here. And there we have used start, I guess we used, left we have used. Left we have used. Okay. Nothing is typo errors, we'll fix it anyhow. Okay, now it's working fine, right? It's working fine. So we'll submit this. And anyhow, do let me know in comment. Do you need a dry run of this particular code, or this is good to go? You understood completely. Do let me know. Then I'll do the conversion of this particular code in C++ as well. Because any of you are spending your time, and I want that you should be getting valuable knowledge as well. So the same code will work in the C++ as well with minor syntax difference. Okay, what I will do here, I just, because length method does not exist in C++, I need a size method. So the place of left, the length, I'll write the size, and directly you do not create an array here, you have vector, right? You have vector in C++ with having an int data type, and the name I'll give it result, and the size I'll give it n. That's the size of this particular thing. You don't have math methods in C++, you will use absolute method directly, removing the math. Okay, I guess rest is same as Java, nothing is different. Rest is same as Java, right? It's working fine. Now submit it, and you'll see one clear difference. Previously, we were taking 1 millisecond in the submission. Now it's a 0 millisecond. So C++ is faster than the Java. So you know this from here itself. Okay, now let's move in the Python as well. I'll take the same code, and the same code will convert in Python. Okay, same code will convert in Python. And I want engagement. I don't know why people are not interacting. And now if you're getting something crazy, you should be more happy, right? Now we want the length of this particular nums, and then we want a left. Anyhow, you don't have data types in Python, so I'll just remove them. Okay, you don't have this, you don't use semicolons here, so I'll remove this data type. You don't have vector, you have to use a list here. So what I'll write here, we will have one result, and that will store the value as 0 everywhere, and n. So I will have n size list, right? There I'll store the value. You don't have this minus minus symbol. So you have minus which equals to 1, reducing by 1, right? And you don't have plus plus. So plus is equals to 1, increasing the value. You do not use the curly braces here, you will use the colon in Python, and same for this. You will not use the semicolon, you will not use this curly braces, so I'll remove them. Okay, and same for this, and same for this. Again, you don't have minus minus, you have minus which equals to 1 here, and then for this, and you don't need this particular thing, right? So this is in Python. This is in Python. Let's run this. Probably it should work fine. We have changed every thing. Yeah, correct. So now we'll submit in Python. Now you'll understand how Python is more faster than the Java. Okay. Look, it's taking 11 milliseconds. Even if I submit again, it will take more time than the C++ in Java. So Python is slower than this. Okay, in particular these things. Look at this, now taking 15 milliseconds. Even if I submit again, and our code of anyhow, my limit has been exceeded, but no worries. Look at this, is taking more time anyway, right? And if I submit the same code in C++ and Java, and that's why I recommend a lot of people to use Java, because anyhow Java is being used in development and also it works faster in DSA, right? And C++ for the people who works in a competitive program, because you'll see the code of C++ that is working really fast. Java is taking 1 millisecond, but C++ is taking 0. Look at this, right? So for competitive programming, C++ is very good, and for DSA, and if you want to do the development in the same language, then Java is very nice, right? And any of you are doing like machine learning or data science, then Python is good anyway. Okay, I hope this is clear to all. The solution was understandable. If you have any specific doubt, you can ask to me. Otherwise, we can wrap. Okay, I'll wait just hardly 30 seconds. If you don't have doubt, then we'll wrap. We'll wrap it. And I don't know why I'm not seeing a lot of engagement here. You can ask your doubts as well here. Otherwise, we'll wrap. See you in the next live, and stay energetic. Right? Before we wrap this particular series, I want that everybody who's joining this live on time should have the capability of cracking any coding interview. Okay, then we'll wrap here. So in the next live, till then, bye bye, take care.